So today we got some really excellent news regarding the Very Good Food Company. It's actually news that actually could give us an idea what kind of revenue we could see in 2022. So that's what we're going to talk about here on the PlantStock channel. If you're new to this channel, welcome. If you're not, then obviously welcome back. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel and you want to get more information regarding the Very Good Food Company or other plant-based companies like the Tattoo Chef or Beyond Meat, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that bell button. And if you really want to help me out, also make sure to smash that like button so it spreads to more people out there. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate your help. If we just take a quick look at the stock chart, ticker symbol VRY and the TSXV in Canada, we can see that the stock is at 334 Canadian dollars. It went up almost 4% yesterday, and the last couple of days, it has been an upswing. So people have finally felt that it's time to go in now because it's been a really good price compared to a couple of months ago. And obviously the OTC version, the American version, is the same trend, about 4% yesterday as well, which lands it at 2.66 American dollars. And this is about 17 minutes before the market is going to open up. So we have some really excellent news here. The company is actually providing us with some production capacity update for the Rupert facility. And it is outstanding, I must say. Well, as we know, when it comes to the production line number 1, it opened up in April and then actually started going in May. And right now it's operating 5 days a week with 3 shifts per day. And the line number 1 is producing about 13,000 pounds per day, well, with a start in August, right? Which is pretty good compared to what they have done in the Victoria facility before. But the really good news here, when we're talking about the future, and this is going to be soon, in Q4, they actually expected to produce about 40,000 pounds per day. And then the really grand news here, in the beginning of 2022, early Q1 here, they expected to average down to about 60,000 pounds per day. Now that's 5 days a week though, but still incredible news. And we also find out that they talk about the average sales price, and it's about 14 Canadian dollars per pound in the e-commerce site and about $7 Canadian dollars per pound in the wholesale in the stores, right? So we're going to talk about what that means. So stay tuned. What kind of revenues could we expect next year? But as we know, they are also coming up with their gluten-free, soy-free options very soon that they hope will compete with Beyond Meat and Impossible Foods to some extent. And that's going to be used in line number 2 here, right? And when it comes to line number 2, that's going to open up in Q4 2021, right? But it's not only going to be used for the gluten-free options, right? It's going to be used to produce products that they're going to later use to expand into North America and the different food service channels there, right? And they also highlight here in the news that Very Good recently partnered with Copper Branch, the world's largest plant-based restaurant franchise with over 40 locations across North America, and with Fresh Prep, the Vancouver-based homegrown meal company. We didn't take a look at this Copper Branch. So yeah, it seems pretty big. Like they said, 40 restaurants. And when we take a look at their menu, it is quite extensive for being fully plant-based, right? 100% plant-based, gluten-free options, all natural, many organic and non-GMO ingredients. So they have their power bowls, burgers, sandwiches, chili, and soup, fresh size all-day breakfast, the power smoothies, desserts, organic coffees, organic teas, and tea lattes and beverages. So this is basically what it looks like, right? And hopefully we might see the Very Good Food Company's options here too among the menu. But don't misunderstand the news, what they're saying, because it's going to be in 8 of these restaurants, but it's not going to be in the menu. At the moment, it's going to be in their frozen section where they sell products to people walking into the restaurant, but it's going to be a branded frozen section for the Very Good Food Company, which is impressive enough. But I'm thinking if they will be doing well, I can't imagine that we'll see some of those here, right? Hopefully we'll have the Very Good burger here, the Very Good butcher burger here. in the future. Now, regarding this news, obviously the CEO is very happy about this. Quote, "We are proud of our team and the milestones they have achieved to date at the Rupert facility. We have already surpassed the production volume at our Victoria facility, which until recently was our only source of capacity to meet the growing demand for our products. The Rupert facility is ramping up lockstep with the timing of our entry into US retail stores." Also, some quick news regarding Ana Silva, the president, the former CFO of Dias. We know that she announced that they have granted her an aggregate of 150,000 options in connection with her appointment to the company's board of directors in April 2021. And her options have an exercise price of $370 per share, a 5-year term, and will vest in quarterly equal tranches over a period of 24 months. So that's good to know. So obviously this is super good news, but now when we have these kind of numbers here, and I'm hoping they're not overblown here, we can get an idea what kind of revenue we can expect next year, right? And if we take a look then what they're talking about when it's going to be really ramping up, which is going to be in Q1. This is only line 1, right? Remember that. So Q1, 60,000 pounds, right? So let's just point that in. So 60,000, and then they said 5 days a week. And let's just suggest that they work 52 weeks, basically every week, because that's how popular they're going to be. So that's going to be 52 weeks times 5 is 260, so times 260. So we're talking about, just from line 1, starting in the beginning of next year, 15.6 million pounds per year, right? So 50 million pounds per year. Now that might be a bit high, not sure, but let's just work with this. Let's speculate a little here. But it seems not totally unreasonable, right? So what kind of revenues could we see from that? Well, that's the interesting part here, right? Because they do claim that their e-commerce sales gives them about $14 in revenue or sales per e-commerce per pound here. That to me though seems kind of high. When I'm looking at their site here, they actually, I don't see many products here being close to that. But I guess it depends on how much it is in everything here. I mean, what I can see here is something that's sold out is their stuffed beast. So that seems really popular. And by the way, when I look here, look at the butcher boxes here. I mean, they have 1,800 reviews on just that, 402 on the smaller one here, and then 180 here. So I must say, that's a lot of reviews for such a small company. So we can see that it's a company that is really popular. But again, this more expensive one that is about 1.4 kilos, 1.3 kilos is sold out. So I don't really know. Guys, correct me if I'm confused here. That I feel that this number is kind of high. We have to work with that because that's what they give us. But that does confuse me. What makes more sense is their wholesale price, which is going to be around $7 Canadian, right? So basically an average of $7 what they sell in the stores. So I needed to count out then what this would actually be. Now this is important then to remember that, as the CEO has stated, right, the last half year or the last year, most of their sales has been from the e-commerce, right? About 80% and 20% wholesale. But that's going to actually switch to totally different. It's going to be 80% wholesale and then 20% when it comes to e-commerce. So I just had to count out. And guys, if my numbers are wrong here, let me know, okay? So if we begin with 20% being e-commerce then in next year's revenue, right? That would be of 15.6 million. That would be 3.12 million pounds, right, per year that it would be selling in e-commerce. And if it is true, then again, I'm a little confused with that price. If we take that times $14, well, that would be about 44 million Canadian dollars in revenue. So amazing numbers on just that. So the other 80% would be from the stores. So there would be 12.48 or 12.5 million pounds that would be sold in stores. And if it's 7 Canadian dollars, well, that would be a number of about $87 million. So in total, folks, that if we add then the other 20% from the e-commerce, which would be 43, 6, 8, and 4 zeros here, a lot of zeros, we're looking at a number of 131 million in revenue. So that's the best case scenario, of course. But guys, think about this. 131 million in revenue. We're just talking about line 1 here, right? The second production line is going to come on now later this year, right? And it's going to focus on the gluten-free options, and we don't know how well they're going to sell, and the options being sold to the US also. So for me, that basically means that when they're talking about $131 million just for line 1, if that would be during 1 year from when it started, when it's producing 60,000 pounds per day, well, that's incredible numbers, right? So 131 million in revenue just from the production line of 1, right? And we don't know what kind of numbers we'll see from production line number 2. And then we have the Rupert facility, the Patterson facility moving on there. And this is not even counting in their cheese products, right? The very good cheese that they have at another facility. So I'm thinking if we're just trying to, be a little cool, so around 100 to 150 million per year in the end of next year or the coming year at least seems more than reasonable if these numbers are correct. Folks, let me know down in the comments. Do you think these numbers are possible? Now, obviously, we have to remember that they can produce this much is one thing, but that there's actually that kind of demand, that's another thing. But to be honest, so far the management has actually kept what they've been talking about. They have delivered, right? Now time will tell, but I have said before though, that I could see that within 1 to 2 years, we could see a revenue that is around, at the very least, $100 million, right? Canadian dollars. So this being around 100 to 150 million, it might be actually too little, but I think that's a good number to go with so far. It's still incredible considering that in the end of 2020, it was around 4.6 million in revenue. So by the end of 2022, if we can see around 100 million, amazing numbers, right? Now, obviously, we should try not to get too overzealous here, too excited, even though this is excellent news for sure. Now, this means that they really have to execute on everything that they are talking about, and they have to actually have that kind of demand. So again, production capacity is one thing. Having a product that's really wanted, that's another thing. But as we know, they do seem really popular. Again, when you look at social media, you look at the reviews, and they do seem to grow like crazy. I do think it's a possibility for sure. Personally, I'm just hoping that the management aren't overestimating here or over exaggerating when it comes to the kind of production capacity they actually have, because they wouldn't be the first company to do something like that. Although, as of yet, as we've talked about many times, they seem to be really upfront about what is going on, and they do deliver so far. So again, folks, what kind of numbers do you expect in 2022, in the end of 2022? What kind of revenues could we see? But what about this year in 2021? What could you see then? Let me know. All right, folks, that was it for today. I truly hope you got a lot of value from today's video. And if you did, make sure to smash that like button. And if you want to keep getting more information like this from the Very Good Food Company and other plant-based companies out there, make sure to subscribe and don't forget that magical bell button. Thank you, folks. I truly appreciate your help. And as always, should you forget, this was not financial advice. These were just my own opinions and my thoughts. It's important to do your own due diligence and invest safe. People, have a wonderful Wednesday. Hope to see you soon, and peace out.